This is JILLIANA Ranicar-Breese, and I'm back in part 2 with Stephen Heiblim. And Stephen, tell me about Japan, because you lived in Japan for a couple of years when you were younger.
Right.
Do you speak Japanese?
Let's see.
Enough.
Hi.
Hi.
So in 1974, I was getting quite weary of San Francisco, even though my life was very entertaining and elaborate. So I wanted to go to China, but it was too early to go and live in China. So I decided Japan. And in 1975, I went to Japan.
Did you have a job to go to?
No, I arrived as a tourist, looked around, and then I started studying bugaku dancing at a Japanese shrine in Kyoto.
Kyoto.
And this was a dance form that was brought in the ancient past originally from India and passed through China and to Japan. And no one knows the meaning of it. But I wanted to study that as a refining way to refine myself. And so I mastered a dance, but Japan is very expensive, and I wanted to buy the costume for it, but it turned out once I mastered the dance and I tried to buy the costume, it was going to cost between $6,000 and $7,000, so I couldn't do that. But then many people asked me to be a teacher of English, and I became head teacher of a school called CIC in Kyoto, and that was, but I had a very good life in Japan, was well paid.
Did you make good friends with Japanese people, or more
I had
with
quite a few Japanese friends, though most of them were from Tokyo, because the people of Kyoto are much more conservative. But I had friends in Kyoto as well.
You didn't want to live in Tokyo?
Oh, I visited Tokyo many times, and I made a mistake. A Japanese friend who had gone to Italy and studied Italian cooking, then opened a restaurant, an Italian restaurant in Tokyo, and asked me to work with him. But I made the wrong decision. I decided to return to New York. And so if I had stayed in Tokyo with this friend and worked in the restaurant, I would have returned to New York with quite a bit of money, because it was the bubble of Japan and everything was booming. But instead I returned almost penniless. So then I arrived in New York, and I went to visit the Japan Society, which is a cultural institution, American, that is very near to the United Nations. It's in a beautiful building, the first designed by a Japanese architect in New York. And I arrived there and was interviewed, and the only thing they had available was someone who to take charge of the box office on weekends. So I started that, and they liked me very much, and I moved my way up quickly and became finally the manager of house activities in administration. But I was there for 15 years.
Did you decide who was going to perform and what
No.
what the program was?
Each area, each department, we had a gallery, an art gallery, a theater where we showed films and had performances, public affairs, Japanese language, various other things. Each department had a director, and they decided, but I had to facilitate these things for them and keep everything, in order and control. So Japan Society had the Japan Film Center, which at the time was the only Japanese film center in the United States. It
Wow.
was the major one. And so I saw hundreds of Japanese films, and that, you know, I already was a lover of films from early age on, but when I came to finally to Tangier, I thought of having a film program. So I created one, but here it takes place in the American Legation, and I decided I would show American films mostly,
Once a month.
and once a month, but films in English. And I love older films. I don't show films.
1940s.
Well, onward,
Black and white.
but not films in with a lot of violence and the usual American style of film. So I left Japan Society finally, and it was a difficult
You were
time.
with them there how many years?
15 years.
Wow.
And it was a difficult.
Do they give you a Japanese pension?
The president was an awful person. He was the first Republican president they had ever had there. And most of the people who were the leaders there were people who had come from the State Department in the United States. And this man was hated by the entire staff, including me. But he did, this is sort of rambling, but he decided one day he had told some of his friends in Washington, D.C., who wanted to come at least 2 weekends a month to New York City and do whatever they wished to do. And he told them that they could use the Japan Society building and that I would be there at their beck and call and to arrange everything. And so when he finally got around to telling me about that, I said, well, I don't work on weekends for one thing, and that's not Japan Society work, and I'm not interested in that. And he ordered me and was insistent, and my immediate boss was the director of administration and finance, who we were very good friends, and he said, I'll go to the board of directors and have him forced to resign. And I said, well, I've been here 15 years. Maybe it is time for me to move on. So I did move on. But it wasn't easy in New York to find another job because everyone was, oh, you're overqualified and you've reached a position with a
certain age.
Well, not so much age, but the salary that you've been earning enough, and we don't want to pay you that. So no one was interested in me, so I decided I had kept my life together with various part-time jobs. One was working at the Museum of the American Indian. One was working in a very fancy card shop and printers and everything, and one was catering. And so I decided that I would move to Mexico, and then came 9/11 and everything, and it was a good time to get out of town. So I moved to Mexico City. And there I had previously gone to a school and got myself a diploma in teaching English. And I turned out to be quite a good teacher, and so I had got many students and had cultural programs with them, and had many Mexican women wanted to learn about opera.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, you're a big authority on opera, aren't you?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you very much, and I wish you good luck with the rest of your life in Tangier.
Thank you.